Metroid Dread is without a doubt one of the most hyped releases in 2021. Perhaps due to the fact that the franchise has many fans and we rarely get the opportunity to play new Metroid games. In fact, the Nintendo Switch has soon been available for 5 years and we have had to wait a very long time for a new Metroid, where we explore new planets and take part in the mystery that permeates the games. In recent years, Nintendo has put a lot of energy into various Mario games, but for various reasons, not much has happened around Metroid. Of course, Mario has millions of fans around the world, but the Metroid franchise itself has another depth that has attracted crowds of people. Now it's like the game series has found its way home and back to the 2D format we remember from games such as Metroid to the NES, Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion. This game was released on October 8th and can be described as a 2D side-scrolling action-adventure game. The game is developed by MercurySteam and Nintendo EPD and costs $60 in Nintendo's eShop. In this review I take a closer look at whether the game lives up to the expectations and whether it is worth the price. There are lots of side-scrollers for the Nintendo Switch. Recently we have seen titles like Blood Rain Betrayal and Steel Assault make their debut for the Nintendo Switch. These are a few examples of all the 2D games available, but if I were to go through Nintendo's eShop and list all the side-scrollers, I would probably need plenty of time and I would probably give up after a while. Today it's definitely a challenge to create a unique side-scroller. How can you renew a genre and release something that no one has played before? That feels new and cool. Metroid Dread is no exception to the challenges associated with the genre. The difficulty in renewing and developing a game that is different from others and that is unique. It isn't enough that the game was developed and published by Nintendo themselves or that it received a huge amount of attention from fans, the general public, advertising and PR. In my opinion, the game needs to be innovative and forward-looking. It's not a small indie game created by 2 to 3 people. Rather, it is an extensive collaboration between Nintendo and MercurySteam that previously worked on Metroid 2 Samus Returns. This collaboration was a success because a remake of Metroid 2 was good and received positive reviews. But when it comes to Metroid Dread, one wonders what is different, what feels new and unique. Chronologically, Metroid Dread comes after Metroid Fusion. Basically, this is the root of all problems. A deadly virus that can infect a living or deadly organism and mimic its properties. The virus was discovered on the planet ZDR and a video message was sent out to prove the virus' existence. Samus is the only one who is immune to being infected and she is sent down to investigate what is going on. Once down on the planet, it does not take long before Samus ends up in battle and loses most of her abilities. And so it begins. This is Samus without upgrades. You start with your typical weapons like your power beam and missiles. Gradually you will find new items that may be necessary in different situations. Of course, the classic morph ball is included again along with a variety of upgrades to your weapon. In addition, you use a cloak to camouflage yourself against the evil robots, which makes the game a little more interesting. Much has been reused and has been around since the beginning of Metroid. With that said, Samus' equipment isn't that innovative and it feels a bit like the game developers didn't want to change too much. I find it a bit boring, but it also shows the complexity of creating a unique side-scroller. The control is phenomenal. In principle, all Samus movements are well functioning and balanced. Whether you aim, shoot, slide or jump, it is a joy to control Samus. This means that you are not prevented from overcoming difficult challenges. As an example, the jumps are not fixed. You can choose the height of your jumps and steer right or left in the air. The way you shoot is also flexible. You can slide and shoot at the same time, shoot in a locked position to be able to stand still and do damage. In addition, you can rotate the left stick to shoot 360 degrees. I think the developers have succeeded well in making Samus agile. In most situations, the control is smooth, which gives a positive gaming experience. But over time you will find new items and you have to get used to new abilities. We have come a long way from using the A and B button to jump and shoot. It can take a while to get used to all the features, but gradually you get used to it and because the control is so good, it's cool to use the skills that are available. Much of the game's excitement is based on Samus' encounters with robot-like creatures called EMMI. They do everything to kill Samus, and if they get hold of you, it's mostly game over. It's a bit like a cat and mouse game. to stay away, hide and reach new places where the EMMI cannot get hold of you. I think this part of the game adds a lot of excitement, not only because the robots are creepy, but because they are so mobile, fast and agile. Sometimes you have to think fast under stress to find a safe way away from the robots, but sometimes it is just too much. If you enter a new area, there is a risk that an EMMI is close by ready to kill you. You die immediately and have to restart. And this process of being discovered and dying over and over again can happen many times. It gets a little ridiculous in the long run. The game is a mess. See it as an exercise in training your sense of direction. The game is so packed with content that sometimes you have no idea where you are going or what to do. Of course, exploring different environments and areas is an essential part of the game's purpose, but it can be a challenge to locate yourself given all the possibilities that exist. This is the first map in the game and already here you are in a gigantic area. Pretty quickly you get overwhelmed by all the paths you can choose and places you can explore. I have to study the map over and over again to get a hint about where to run. Personally, I would have liked to have seen that the game at first was a bit easier to navigate. It's like being thrown into a world without any real idea where you are going or what you are looking for. And the complexity of the map means that you spend a good deal of time looking for possible routes. It can be a little frustrating at times, but at the same time it is noticeable that the developers really put energy into creating a large and varied world. The world is very atmospheric, about what you would expect from a Metroid game. It is also interesting to see how the graphics work on the Nintendo Switch. Of course, in my opinion, it is the most beautiful game in the series so far, much thanks to all the details and environments that create an eerie feeling. Many environments have a sci-fi theme, mixed with areas of lava, water worlds and large cave systems. But it has its explanation, a large part of the game takes place underground. The game flows well on the Switch. In docked mode the resolution is 1600 to 960 FPS. The experience is basically free from lag, but on some occasions you may experience stuttering, but it should hardly be something that destroys the gaming experience. Overall, it is a smooth and well-functioning game. Expect to fight a lot of bosses, and they can be pretty challenging. Usually, each battle consists of a couple of phases, which means that you have to stay alive for a long time until you get the boss down. There are certainly opportunities to zerg down the bosses if you're experienced, but basically it is about knowing the boss mechanics, how they behave towards you and what attacks are dangerous. I think that the boss fights are one of the most successful aspects of this game. They are varied, sometimes challenging and require you to think to find out when it's time to attack and when you have to defend yourself. Metroid Dread is without a doubt one of the most interesting releases of 2021, but the game does not feel as unique as hoped, much due to the other Metroid-like games that have gained popularity due to the lack of new Metroid games. Games like Axiom Verge and Dead Cells are both full-fledged alternatives that challenge and constantly renew the 2D genre. Metroid Dread is certainly a good game, but the competition is fierce and the game doesn't sit alone on the 2D throne. However, I think that Nintendo and MercurySteam has managed to create a game with lots of excitement. This is due to all the encounters with the scary EMMI robots. Many times you look for the right path and it can sometimes be a little frustrating, but once you find the right one and get hold of a new item or encounter a new boss, it becomes very fun and rewarding. Together with the atmospheric graphic, the smooth control and varied gameplay, you get a lot for your money. You will probably not be disappointed if you buy a copy of this game. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future content and more reviews. Have a good day, bye.